You're invited to a ball, a Monsters Ball. See Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame, the Monster Abyss, alongside Father James Mitchell. Take on Army of Darkness member Lou Cypher, alongside Abudadine. Also appearing, the Suicide Messiah Mark Mandrake, Ferrari, Butch Long, and Sideshow. Come see the monsters at PWE, a prestigious ball.
Welcome to the J&J Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, James Pritsky and James Pritsky.
That is the music. It is the time. Welcome to a very, very special edition of the J&J Wrestling Podcast. We are live in studio with you, and it is a Friday night. We are here hanging out with you all on mixlr.com/J&J-podcast. And of course, I am joined here by who I would think is one of the best in the business, although sometimes his attitude says otherwise, Mr. James Pritsky. Welcome to the show, James.
I am absolutely the best in the business when it comes to being your co-host on this podcast. I'm really glad to see that you have survived.
Listen, why would you think otherwise? I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I asked him the questions, and he seemed, although not entirely, he seemed to be very truthful about everything that we had spoken about.
So what exactly do you mean almost truthful about everything that you talked about? What do you not believe?
First of all, I don't believe that he didn't cut those wires on those cars. I think there's some stuff going on there that is not being said.
I do believe him. But let me tell you something. I have a theory, but I'm not going to talk about it now.
Of course you're not.
Because let's see what happens tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night at Los Dos Plebes. Plebes. When we are going to be at PWE, a prestigious ball. It's a Monsters Ball.
That's right. It's going to be a good time. Let's go ahead and do this real quick. Of course, you can follow us at JWrestlingPod on Twitter. You can follow us also on Facebook.
JJ Wrestling Pod. And also, that's our email, jjwrestlingpod@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on Instagram at JJ Wrestling Podcast.
And we're getting a YouTube channel. In fact, we actually got it up, and we had the interview with Mark Mandrake that we had this past Sunday.
In its entirety.
Also on our Facebook. We do hope you go and listen. And we had some feedback on our YouTube, which we'll reveal on Sunday, because on Sunday we're going to have the Royal Rumble podcast. But at this time, tentatively, remember, cards subject to change. You know that statement right there. Cards subject to change. We are scheduled Nicholas Hansberry of PWE on our show, joining us for the Royal Rumble. And at that point, maybe then we'll let you in on what I think happened.
Right. So anyway, in case you want to find us on YouTube, it is J&J Wrestling Podcast. If you want to find us, like, share, subscribe on there as well.
To be fair, read the comment on there.
The comment?
Yeah, there's a comment
on the video?
On the video, yes. Go ahead.
Let's see.
Let's pull that comment.
Great show. Pleased to be your first sub.
There we go. Great show. That's all I want to get out. It was a great show. I suggest you go listen to it.
Yes. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, and a big shout out to the Wrestle Hub, who is on YouTube. They are actually our first subscriber. So that's what they were saying. They're our first subscriber. Right. I got to learn the YouTube lingo.
We're getting the lingo down.
We're getting the lingo down. Anyway, all right. Well, let's talk a little bit. We touched base a little bit. PWE tomorrow night. We're really excited about it. Really excited to be there. We're doing a pre-show at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. We're going to be there. We're going to have, we never know who's going to be on the show.
That's true.
We're going to be on Facebook Live for that on the Prestige Wrestling Entertainment website.
But don't worry, in case you can't be at the event, we are going to be on Facebook, but we're also going to be on mixlr.com as well. So we'll be on both. And I think we are also, if I'm correct in this, doing a post show.
We are doing a post show.
Okay.
Most certainly doing a post show. It's going to be on approximately 9:30ish.
Okay.
But here's the catch on this one. We are going to be naming, no matter the outcome of the main event, we're going to be naming the number one contender.
They have given us permission to do that. Mark's going to do it.
Mark
Mandrick's going to do it.
Nevertheless, he's bringing me the scoop. That's the most important thing. And we're going to have the naming of the number one contender to the PWE Heavyweight Championship, which is currently held by the Suicide Messiah, Mark Mandrick.
Hey, you got some brown right here. Right in the tip of your nose.
Here's the brown for you. And because we're on radio, folks, I hope you know I rubbed my nose with my middle finger, okay?
So, obviously, it is the PWE debut of Impact Wrestling and TNA Superstar, the Monster Abyss, with Father James Mitchell. And he really kind of demanded that this match become a Monsters Ball match.
Well, it's fine, because he's going to be facing the true monster, the devil himself, Lou Cypher.
All right,
by the way, he's going to be at ringside with Abudadine and the Queen of the Highway, Ferrari.
Yeah, whatever.
You survived. You survived the podcast.
I'm fine.
Last week.
Oh my
Let me remind you what he told you.
It was scary.
When you go to Los Dos Plebes, you have to sign a waiver to be there, and you're fair game. Keep the words soft and sweet, because you may very much have to eat them.
I am not scared. Once again, unlike yourself, who is scared of an individual, but we'll figure that out later. Anyway, what I was saying was, interesting little trivia for you, and this may actually help your point, because I am a journalist. I do journalistic things, like look up information like stats. Are you ready for this? There have been, in the history of Abyss, he has competed in roughly about 50 Monsters Ball matches in his time. 50.
50? Good number.
Do you know how many he's won? He's won 16. I don't know if that's a good thing. It's less than half, obviously.
It's not even a quarter.
Let's see. It's
a little over
0.32. So 32% of the Monsters Ball.
He's won a third.
He's won a third of them.
Yeah, that's it. A third.
Okay. So
Scott Steiner, okay, he has a 66 and a third
66
chance.
and a third % chance.
Yeah.
But it's Abyss, so there's a 75% chance. All I'm saying by this point
is that the devil himself, Lou Cypher, will be the winner, and Mark Mandrick will not have to defend the title.
That is not why I bring this up. The reason I bring this up, and again, I knew you were going to be like that as soon as I said this, but the reason I bring this up is, how many Monsters Ball matches has Lou Cypher competed in?
You have to have
0
Monster Ball matches.
No. 0. Answer the question. How many? 0 is the answer.
How many hardcore matches?
It doesn't matter. Hardcore is not a Monsters Ball. Hardcore is not a Monsters Ball match.
I think he's going to fare well, because you know why? The rules state you have to be locked away for 24 hours. Right?
Okay.
Right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
You are correct in that, but I'm saying
Lou Cypher has been locked away for a better part of a month now.
All I'm saying is, how many has Lou Cypher competed in? 0. Which means you still, no matter how minute that percentage may be of wins, you still give the edge to Abyss. You have to.
Lou Cypher.
Well, we're going to see on tomorrow night.
Let me remind you of something, okay? The Monsters Ball is smack dab in the middle of hell, run by the devil himself, Lou Cypher.
All I'm saying is we'll see tomorrow night as Lou Cypher will step into the ring against the Monster Abyss. And Mandrake told Abyss if he defeats Lou Cypher in a Monsters Ball match, then at No Remorse in March, Mandrake will defend that PWE championship that he's holding on to so closely against the Monster Abyss. So, I'm looking forward to that match very much. I have a lot of stake in that match.
There's a lot of stake in that
There's a lot of stake. There's a lot of stake on this card.
Prime beef right there, man. Prime beef.
All right, well, let's keep going in the card here. We have, in what I think could be the match of the night. I've been saying this the last several weeks. The great Kennedy Kendrick is going to step into the ring against the fastest man in wrestling, Samuel C. Thoughts on this match?
The great Kennedy Kendrick? How does one become great from whining and complaining about?
He wasn't whining. He was literally
championship?
saying the same thing I've been saying, which is it wasn't fair. And
Then you've been whining and complaining too.
No, I wasn't. I was literally stating fact. But anyway, thoughts on the match itself?
You got Samuel C., who is quicker than a hiccup.
That's true.
Okay? He goes from one end of the ring to the other end, and it's so quick. If you blink, you're going to miss it, okay? He is a high flyer. He does wonderful things in the ring. If you can keep him in the air, he has the advantage. But he is taking on Kennedy Kendrick. Kennedy Kendrick is a student of the Hart family who learns the grappling game, down on the ground, the technical aspect of wrestling. And if he can get Samuel C. on the ground, Kennedy Kendrick will have the distinct advantage over Samuel C. Samuel C. needs to run and strike and keep on doing that game plan if he wants to win that match.
Well, I think that's going to be a good one, and I think it's two men who have a lot to prove, not just in wrestling period, but really in this company. It's still fairly new, obviously. First show was in November, so these two guys have a lot to prove. And I think that they could go a long way for Kennedy Kendrick to win this match to get himself back into potentially the title picture, I think. But even Samuel C. as well. Look, I don't discount Samuel because he's good. He had a great match with...
Right, and he can definitely get down with a grappler because he did get down with a grappler in David Mercury at the Dawn of the Champions.
And he came a little short, but I think that those two are going to have what I believe could be potentially the match of the night, which I think it will be. So moving on here, we got a match that's near and dear to your heart. The Eighth Deadly Sin Sideshow returns to Largo against ERA. Interesting, diverse style in this match, I think.
Once again, I think it's going to be another clash of styles that's going to be an advantage here in Largo, Florida. You got the hardcore style of the Eighth Deadly Sin, which it scares me a little bit in the fact that it might be enough for him to be named the number one contender if Abyss does not win, which he won't. And that scares me even a little bit more because, once again, we could end up seeing Mark Mandrake and Sideshow one last time. However, I'm very impressed with Ernest R. Alexander III, ERA. By the way, your old lady's favorite wrestler.
My old lady's favorite wrestler.
Yes.
Who's not old.
Yes, by the way. And I want to go on fact and by the way, I'm sorry, I have to make sure. I copyright that one to Butch Long because that was just a great saying right there, my friend. By the way, I really do hope that you come on our pre-show because I would really love to have you on there. That was a great road report, by the way, sir. We'll get to you in just a moment, though.
True.
ERA is young, fast. He can strike at all different angles. He was in the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah.
Very simply put, he's a future star. He's got the look. Of course, if Sideshow gets a hold of him, that look very well could be mangled.
Well, I think that they're going to have a fantastic match. I think it's a match that could also compete for match of the night, but may not be as good as Kennedy and Samuel. And then, of course, the other... That's true. The other match that was announced, I believe, last week was the Brooklyn Juggernaut Romeo versus the modern-day Savage Ativalu?
Ativalu.
Ativalu.
Ati is
With the voice, Justin Michaels.
Yeah, I'm telling you with the voice, Justin Michaels.
Right.
Let me let you know a little something here, okay? The modern day Savage, or as I like to call him, sadistic Samoan, okay? I want to make it very clear. I quote this. I stated this on the PWE Facebook page here.
What did you do?
Okay, and I quoted this just yesterday.
Okay.
Romeo, normally I would tell you that living through loose cipher is the best possible outcome you can have. However, you went from the devil to the sadistic Samoan. Best of luck to you, sir, on Saturday.
You are just digging a grave, my friend, with a lot of people. And listen, one day you gonna get yours.
If anybody has anything they want to say, I will be at Los Dos Plebes on the 26th. That is tomorrow night. So if Romeo wants to come on the show, be my guest.
All right. Well, also,
if Kennedy Kendrick wants to be on the show, be my guest.
You don't want him.
If the Monster Abyss wants to be on my show,
our show,
come on. Let's do this.
There's two J's. There's not just one J. There's two, J and J. That means it's also my show. And as your co-host, I need to tell you that you are digging a grave that you do not want to lay in. So, just throwing that out there. You did it for me for 4 weeks, but that's okay. Anyway, we'll move on. Plus, also signed to appear will be Mark Mandrake will be appearing, of course, with the King of Darkness, led by Budadine and Ferrari. And then, of course, we just talked about Bone Crusher Butch Long, who did his road reports, who's also looking for an opponent. So there's another interesting potential matchup somewhere in there.
Most certainly indeed. I'm looking forward to seeing Butch Long. And, sir, you are welcome to co-host with me as well on the pre-show. And James as well.
Oh, yeah. And me, I guess, if I'm there. Anyway, but here's the thing I want to say. All kidding aside, all joking aside, I want to go off script here just for a second. Okay?
This is a shoot.
This is shoot promo. Okay? Nicholas Hansberry was on a couple weeks ago. Mark Mandrake was on this past week with Ferrari. PWE is a promotion that you're going to want to see. You know how I know? Because I've seen the passion out of these three individuals that have been on our show. I saw it at Dawn of the Champions.
By the way, third individual he's mentioning is Ferrari.
It's Ferrari, correct. And I saw it at Dawn of the Champions, the potential of the company, and I've seen it in the passion of Nick, who's done a great job of really bringing this company together with help, of course, with a bunch of individuals. But I will say this, if you did not get to go in November to Dawn of the Champions, make plans to go tomorrow night. Because you are going to see some phenomenal wrestling tomorrow night. You're going to see a very, very good card. This is a great card overall. And there's still stuff, listen, you never know who's going to show up. I mean, that's what Nick said a few weeks ago. And I would agree, you never know who's going to show up at a PWE event. So, if you have not done so, go online right now. Go buy your tickets to this show. Be there with us. Come hang out with us. Come say hi to us. We want to meet you. Come hang out with us and watch this incredible show that is getting ready to take place tomorrow night at Los Dos Plebes.
And now my turn for this shoot. And I want to go ahead and say that we do thank you very much, Nicholas Hansberry, for giving us this platform to speak about your promotion. We do believe that PWE is going to be the next best promotion right here in the Largo, Tampa Bay area, and we're looking forward to continuing on this relationship with you and making sure that this becomes successful, and we thank you for the opportunity. And you know what? You're absolutely right when it says the passion, okay? Mark Mandrake has been doing this for well over 20 years, and he always asks the one very important question, even in the middle getting stitches from all his hardcore battles, and that is very simply put, did the fans enjoy the night? And guess what? 10 times out of 10, the answer is yes when it comes to the Suicide Messiah. So therefore, if that is the case, about 10 times out of 10 coming from the Suicide Messiah, that means this next show is just going to be as good. Even if he's not on the show, he is basically saying that this is a show you do not want to miss. Very much, though, the future of this show will depend on what's going to happen with the Suicide Messiah. So there's a lot of passion here, folks. I'm looking forward to it. You know, one of the most passionate people is Daniel C. about his entire career.
Yeah, he's all over the grid. If you guys aren't following him, and he's gonna be a guest with us here in the next couple of weeks. Actually, I think next week, right? Is he gonna be on with us? GCW, maybe we're working it out.
Yeah,
anyway,
we're working it out. We're working out the time for next week. We realize that Super Bowl is also next week.
Oh yeah, it is.
And of course. How many did they? Any word on that petition that was signed regarding the game?
Oh my gosh, I don't even want to talk about that. Look, I'm a very vocal Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, but even still, seeing that was depressing. I mean, because it happened to us about 99. That same thing kind of happened to us. There was a catch that we made, but anyway, we're not going to talk about sports in here. But anyway, so no potential rematch. No potential rematch. But anyway, all right. Well, at this time, hey, what we're going to do real quick is we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come right back, and my co-host has a very interesting word that he would like to share with you. Coming right out of this break, and we're also going to talk some AEW. We're going to talk some WWE. Royal Rumble coming up this weekend as well. Busy show. We'll be right back here on the J&J Wrestling Podcast right here.
MixLR.
Hey, wrestling fans, you all know you want to get to WrestleMania or some other big event. Well, I got a treat for you. You can get your tickets at selectaticket.com. And when you use the code WRESTLE10, that's WRESTLE10, you can get $10 off of any sporting event. That includes the granddaddy of them all, WrestleMania, NXT, how about the National Football League, Major League Baseball, and many more. Just remember, you need the code WRESTLE10, and that'll get you $10 off of any sporting event that you can get on selectaticket.com. What are you waiting for? Visit the website, selectaticket.com, and use the promo code WRESTLE10 and get $10 off. Tell them the J&J Wrestling Podcast sent you.
Welcome back to the J&J Wrestling Podcast here on MixLR. And if you recall, about a little under a month ago, about 2-3 weeks ago, me and my partner, James Ludeman, went out to Cocoa, Florida. We went to watch Atomic Revolutionary Wrestling, and they had an amazing card. And on the post-show, we had quite a few guests. We had the Brothers in Arms on the show, as well as the one half of the tag team champions, Garrett Bischoff and Wes Briscoe. We also had Shannon Moore, but we also had the Atomic Heavyweight Champion, Jesse Neal. And Jesse, I enjoyed having you on the show. I enjoyed the fact that you have served our country and the fact that you have had such a stellar career until you mocked me about my fear of clowns when I saw Chuckles at that show. Jesse, you bullied me right on the air, and I don't appreciate it, sir. And then when I made a comment about Chuckles appearing at GCW, A Love of Wrestling, coming up on the 16th of February here in Tampa, Florida, you mocked me again by putting a picture of Pennywise? A picture of it himself? Jesse Neal, time for you to stand up. If you are the man that you say you are, sir, then you will have no problem on the 16th of February coming face-to-face with me on the J&J Wrestling Podcast and issuing an apology for mocking me, for going ahead and exploiting my fear on the air. Jesse, I deserve an apology for you and your bullying.
So you mean to tell me that you spent the better part of 3 weeks, 4 weeks really, maybe even longer, sitting here and discrediting me because I was saying things about Mark Mandrake, and now you have insulted Kennedy Kendrick, and now you're calling out Jesse Neal? Do you have a death wish? I mean, come on, really? Over this? I'm just letting you know, you really need to
Jesse Neal needs to be a star.
Okay, anyway, wow, I can't. You looking to die, ain't you? You looking to die. All right. Anyway, we're going to move on from that. Jesse, if you're listening to this show, which I know you are, if you're listening to this show, we invite you on, and we will just, leave it at that, I guess. And we'll look forward to your apology. Oh, chuckles. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move forward.
And you're continuing this propaganda talking about Chuckles like that.
He's a wrestler. That's what I do. I'm a journalist. I talk about wrestlers on our show.
We weren't talking about Chuckles, and all of a sudden you mentioned his name.
You just mentioned his name. Did it scare you? Did it scare yourself when you named Chuckles a few moments ago? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Don't you turn this around
I'm not turning it around.
Come on, man.
I'm the victim here. All right. Anyway.
Victim? You know what? Next week, we are going to have Mr. Gomez in the house from GCW, right. Okay? And sir, and by the way, he's the owner of GCW. And by the way, he has signed, if I recall correctly, not only Chuckles to appear, okay? But he has also signed for Jesse Neal to appear.
Are you salty? It seems like you're salty. I feel like you have a little bit of salt there that you need to just let go. Just let go of it. You know, you told me for weeks to let go of this thing with Mark Mandrake, and now you're over here doing the exact same thing. It's very hypocritical of you, but okay. That's fine. It is what it is, I guess. You got to do what you got to do. But anyway, yes, we will have Gomez on February 3rd on our show. It is Super Bowl Sunday, so we'll have to figure that out.
I think he's a reasonable promoter, by the way.
I think so, too.
Yes.
But I think you're biting off a lot more than you can chew. But that's just my opinion.
Oh, look, Mark Mandrake, friend, I'm one big mouth.
Mark Mandrake is one thing. Jesse Neal, that's a whole other ballgame, my friend.
You are insulting Mark Mandrake, basically saying he is not as a big deal as Jesse Neal.
Well, once again, I think you're biting off way more than you can chew. But to each his own, I guess. I don't know. All right, so we're going to move on. Triple H came on earlier this week. We're going to talk some NXT here real quick. But before we get to that, Triple H came on, was on his weekly conference call. Usually he does this around NXT time, right around there.
It's actually NXT program.
Correct.
The TakeOver conference call, which TakeOver is this Saturday on the WWE Network.
Tomorrow.
Very simply put, we're not covering the show because we are busy with our commitment with PWE. However, on the Royal Rumble pre-show...
We're doing a pre-show now?
We're doing a pre-show.
Oh, okay, we're doing a pre-show.
We will have the results...
a studio audience, too, probably.
With a studio audience. Our post-show is more likely going to have a studio
audience
as well, too. Nevertheless, we're going to talk about the NXT show because we're probably going to end up watching it that night. So we'll get it all through Well, James will probably watch it.
I'll probably watch it when I get home.
Yeah, I'll probably be doing some other things that night.
Yeah, I already know what you're doing. But anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Never been there, and I'm not sure if it's still happening yet, but we'll get to that later.
You can go if you want. I'm not in it. All right, so anyway, I bring all this up to say this for a reason. So Triple H was asked during this conference call about AEW.
Yes.
I was very interested to see what Triple H's response was, and I actually have a quote provided to us by ringsidenews.com that says this, and I want to know what your thoughts are on this. I'll read the quote to you. This is from Triple H. He was asked about AEW during a recent conference call where he did confirm WWE is monitoring the situation, and this is what he said. He said something, Triple H saying, something we'll keep an eye on. We'll do what's right for us and our fan base. We'll continue to monitor everything. When you're a content provider, we compete against everything. We will continue to do what is best for business for the WWE. Thoughts on that?
It's a standard corporate message. They're going to take care of their own. Competition is all over the place. You got to realize WWE does not just compete with just other wrestling promotions. They compete against Monday Night Football when the season is, because we have Monday Night Raw. They have, I'm sure, programming on Tuesday nights that they have to deal with, and that includes stuff like basketball. That includes stuff like baseball when it comes time for season. So there's a lot of competition here. XFL's coming very soon, okay? That's going to be another form of competition that's going to come up. While it's not going to be during the main football season, it's definitely going to be something different coming up. The WWE is going to focus on their product. Now, here's the catch what I say about this. Focus on their product may mean issuing out a couple more dollars, or a lot more than a couple more dollars, nevertheless. And that seems to be what's going on right now in the background, because there's a lot of people whose contracts are coming up. Specifically, the former WWE champion, AJ Styles.
Yeah, I'm kind of iffy on AJ because I think that WWE is realizing, if they haven't already, which I'm sure they have, that AJ is the hottest thing right now going. Maybe other than Becky Lynch. But I'm saying that to say that to lose AJ for WWE would be a big deal right now, especially with which we're going to talk about in just a minute here with the Royal Rumble with John Cena. With John Cena being out, Roman Reigns is out. You got to put somebody as the face of the company right now, and I think AJ's your guy.
At least on the blueprint.
At least on the blueprint. Really, Raw doesn't. I don't know if Raw has a guy yet. I mean, Seth Rollins maybe, but I wouldn't call him the face of Raw right now. Now, they may be grooming Finn Balor to take that over.
No, I think Seth Rollins is going to be the face of Raw. I'm seriously considering by WrestleMania that Finn Balor will be holding the red title, and he will be moving on as that face until they can determine what's going on with Roman Reigns.
Yeah, and again, they have been very. I think I don't want to say selective about what's going on with Roman at this point, but there hasn't been a whole lot of news on it for good reason. I don't think Roman really wants.
This is a personal matter that needs to be addressed personally. When the time is right, Roman Reigns will come out and address it to his fans. Until then, the WWE shall allow Joe to have his privacy.
Well, and I'm reading all of these different articles and looking at all these different news, and just to tell you, look, Roman Reigns has been training. There was a photo of him with a fan in Hawaii who spotted him training. So I think if Roman comes back,
just because Roman Reigns is fighting a disease does not mean you go throw everything away. You still got to take care of yourself. Okay, most of your battle is going to be on how you take care of yourself when it comes to any kind of cancer. Most people don't have the energy to do it. For him to have the energy to go ahead and do a workout to keep himself in somewhat shape is an amazing thing, and maybe the very key to helps him defeat this round of leukemia. It may have been very well the last time how it was beat. So maybe that's what he has to do. Let him do it in peace. Yeah, we'll see photos here and there, but let him do his recovery in peace.
Well, Chris Jericho actually, and it looks like just reading on some of this information, Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that Roman is not expected to be at the Royal Rumble on Sunday, but it isn't impossible that he could show up for an appearance. So it could just be that he is, and again, And even Chris Jericho spoke to Chris Van Villa, who I guess is a friend of Roman's, close friend, who said he's doing treatment. I think things are going really well. I don't know really how much about leukemia. I don't know what the end game is as far as when you're cured, when it goes into remission, when you can do physical matches or travel or whatever. But we talked quite a bit. I've got a group text with him in it, and I text him on the side. He always seems to be doing pretty well and in good spirits. We love him. I think it's just a matter of time before he comes back, but most importantly that he stays healthy, which I think is very true. However, the fact that if he were to come back, I think that would kind of, I don't know if it would reshape the Universal title picture, but I like I said, I think they're really grooming Finn Balor right now, which is another thing we were going to talk about, is how Finn Balor was inserted into the Universal title match. I know you wanted to kind of speak on that.
I kind of feel it's a slap in the face to Finn Balor that they announced the Braun versus Brock match, and then only 2 weeks out they switch it. When I believe that Finn Balor and Brock Lesnar itself could have very well drew its own numbers. These are inflated numbers, or maybe deflated numbers. We'll have to find out, based on the fact that the match that was announced was Brock versus Braun.
So Finn Balor has this program now with Brock Lesnar, and it's for the Universal title, and the Universal title has probably been, in my mind, the most criticized title ever since its inception. I don't think there has been one champion, with the exception of maybe Roman Reigns, that fans have gotten 100% behind. Finn Balor had it for one day. So you really couldn't see where he was going to go because he only had it for 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's been criticized in the fact that it just doesn't have the same relevance that the WWE has on SmackDown Live right now.
I believe the only relevant, and this is going to sound sad, but I'm going to tell you that Roman Reigns, I don't believe, had the opportunity to make the title relevant when he won it from Brock Lesnar. The only person who really had a relevant title reign as the Universal Champion was Kevin Owens.
And even he lost it. I mean, that was to me, that's been the biggest blunder in the Universal title picture. You worked really hard to put the belt on him. Mm-hmm. You brewed up a story between Seth and Triple H, which I thought was done brilliantly. And then all of a sudden, Goldberg's back. You put the title on Goldberg, and now it's Goldberg and Brock. I get it. But at the same time, I don't, because Kevin Owens, and look, there's a very real chance Kevin Owens is back Sunday. I think that might be the one surprise. That is not really a surprise, but I think it is going to be one that he will return.
I don't think he's completely cleared yet, but I can tell you who is cleared. Matt Hardy.
And he's not retired yet.
He's not retired.
Right.
Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, but they're trying to redo Bray Wyatt right now. And I don't think that they fully got a thing for him yet. And until they do, they probably won't have him on TV, which is sad.
Ty Dillinger.
Okay, I would agree with that. He's not going to win, but it would be nice to see him back on TV.
And here is the two that I'm looking forward to being back, and that would be Luke Harper and Eric Rowan.
You think they're going to be back, both of them?
The Bludgeon Brothers are on their way back, and they dominated the SmackDown Live tag team scene last year up until Eric Rowan's injury.
Yeah, and look, the tag team division right now
on SmackDown,
I would say on both shows is not good.
No. On Raw, it's not good. On SmackDown, it's decent. You have tag teams. You have New Day. You have the Usos.
Yeah, but
they're
the same tag teams. They're the same tag teams.
But
like, it's the same thing.
There was options on SmackDown. On Raw, there isn't. Okay,
the bar is done. I'm done with the bar.
Let's do a little analytic.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
On SmackDown, okay, how many tag team title changes were there?
Wait, last year?
Just in the last year.
Well, the Bludgeons had it through WrestleMania.
No, the Bludgeons won it at WrestleMania. So that was
No,
the
didn't
first
they have
time.
it before? I thought they won it before.
They won it before WrestleMania, I think, but
They walked in as
but
champion.
They walked in WrestleMania,
Right.
but they won it that year.
Okay, so there's one.
Okay,
so they won
one.
it. No, they won it was it Rumble or Elimination Chamber?
It was either Chamber or Fastlane.
Okay, so there's one. And then obviously 2 when they lost it to New Day.
Mm-hmm.
And the Usos won it. No.
The Bar won it.
The Usos didn't win it?
The Usos walked in as champions that year. They lost it to the Bludgeons, who lost it to New Day, who lost it to the Bar. 3 title changes. Okay? Now, let's go to Raw.
Yeah.
You have a lot to talk about on how many title changes there were on Raw because you had tag teams like the Bar start, and then you had Braun Strowman and Nicholas, Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy, the B team. Then you had the Authors of Pain, and now we have Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. There was a lot more hot potato on this Raw side than there was on the SmackDown side. I think the Raw tag team titles need to come down a little bit and be held by a team for quite a while and have different teams being built up. You got Heavy Machinery just appeared, okay? You have the Bludgeon Brothers coming back. Why don't we move them from the blue brand over to the red brand, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that will make things a lot different. I think that the Revival is about ready to get around. I'm actually shocked that the Revival did not win this past Monday night. But I have a feeling the Revival's time is coming, and it may come sooner than you think.
Okay. So let me ask you this. SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Here's some fun facts. You ready? Who has the... Now this is since they were reintroduced on the blue brand on SmackDown Live. Who has the most reigns for the SmackDown Live Tag Team Champions?
Okay, I have to remember this because there was a hot potato contest between the New Day and the Usos for a little bit.
That's the correct answer. 3 reigns each. Each one has had 3, okay? Mm-hmm. Who has the longest reign?
Oops.
The Usos. That's right, 182 days. Shortest reign. This is a tough one.
I want to say it's the inaugural champions.
No, it was not.
It was not.
The Wyatt family. Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, Luke
wow.
Harper. And the Usos, both of them tied with 23 days.
Okay.
Who's the oldest winner of the tag team titles?
Orton.
No, that would be Rhino, 40 years.
Okay. Close.
The youngest? This is a tough one, too. No, Jason Jordan. 28 years. The heaviest champion was...
I forgot about Jason Jordan.
Yeah, American Alpha, that's right. And that was actually the lightest champions. Chad Gable, Jason Jordan, 447 pounds.
As a team, I would assume it would be the Bludgeons.
No, the Wyatts.
Oh, really?
Because technically you're including Orton, Harper, and Bray together.
So Harper.
So 810 pounds.
Well, only 2 are facing each other.
Right.
If that was the case, I would go with Harper and Rowan. I mean, that's just me saying that. But
correct. Yeah. But they are including them in all of these things. But I say all that to say this: that I think the tag team division needs an upgrade.
It does. But
both shows.
But you have to make it a division. You know, I always thought that something that they could do in the WWE is recently we've had a Cruiserweight Classic. That was about 3 years ago.
Right, correct.
Okay. And they've had now 2 Mae Young Classics. Okay.
Right.
Why aren't we having a tag team classic?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Why?
I think it would be awesome.
I think if you want to keep Revival interested in tag team wrestling, bring some of the best tag teams from around the world and have a tag team classic. Quite honestly, you can bring in Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard as the presenters of the award because they're one of the greatest teams of all time, the Brainbusters, the Horsemen. Okay, that would be so. You could bring in Animal from the Road Warriors. You know he's been outspoken about the WWE lately. I think it's just time that we do a tag team classic and let the teams determine themselves how great they are. I think the Cruiserweight division started based on this tournament.
Okay.
And the women's division has been elevated because of the tournament. It's now time for the tag team division to get their tournament. The heavyweight division is always going to be the focus. Let this tournament focus on the tag team division.
That would be awesome.
And get it started. You can pull in some great tag teams. And maybe, just maybe, we shouldn't have 2 tag team championships. Maybe it's time to unify the tag team championships and have them contested on both or all brands.
Yeah, that would be good. I would like that. All right. So we did the SmackDown tag titles. Let's do some fun facts for the Raw tag titles.
Now, the Raw tag
Now,
team
this
titles,
one goes back to 2002.
which was
Right.
the original
Correct.
SmackDown tag team championship.
Right, correct. So we're
Okay.
putting all of this together. Who were the inaugural champions?
The inaugural champions was Kurt Angle and some guy we will not mention.
Chris Benoit. His first name is Chris Benoit. That's
Benoit?
Benoit.
Benoit.
I didn't make that joke. I stole that joke. But anyway. All right. Who has the shortest in the title's history? Shortest reign. And this is astounding. I don't think you're going to get it. And I know your knowledge is pretty good, but even this one I think you might struggle.
The shortest reign in the history of this title. Oh, God. I almost want to go with the inaugural champions.
No, it was not. John Cena and The Miz held the
Yes.
title for an astounding 9 minutes.
9 minutes.
9 minutes.
Won it from the core, lost it to the core.
That's right.
And I remember that now, yes.
9 minutes.
Thank you.
Who has the longest reign? This should be easy.
The longest reign would belong to Paul London and Brian Kendrick.
No, the longest reign would be the New Day.
Are you sure?
Yes, the New Day have the longest single reign at
you're
483 days.
You're right.
And the longest combined reign at 533 days.
Totally forgot about the New Day because when I consider the longest reign ever, I almost went back to the World Tag Team Championship.
Way too far back.
Yeah,
way too far back. So
all
anyway,
right, thank you. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're fine. You're
but
fine.
That reign for London and Kendrick was a very decent reign for them.
Man, they had some great matches
especially because
in there too.
of their size. You would think they would have gotten beaten so quick, and then nevertheless, I forgot the New Day did get that long reign.
All right, we're gonna take another break here real quick, and we're gonna come back. And after we come back from the break, we're gonna end the show here with Royal Rumble. We're gonna talk about the Rumble. We're not gonna do our picks yet. We'll do our picks on Sunday for the pre-show. But when we come back, I want to talk about the importance of the Royal Rumble. And I want to talk about that at the top.
Definitely a lot of things important about the Royal Rumble.
All right, so we're going to come right back here after this commercial. We're going to take one more commercial break so that you can hear the PWE commercial one more time, as if you haven't heard it enough. And we'll be right back on the J&J Wrestling Podcast.
Guess what? This will be the last time you hear it, folks.
You're invited to a ball, a Monsters Ball. See Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame, the Monster Abyss, alongside Father James Mitchell. Take on Army of Darkness member Lou Cypher, alongside Abudadine. Also appearing, the Suicide Messiah Mark Mandrake, Ferrari, Butch Long, and Sideshow. Come see the monsters at PWE, a prestigious ball.
All right, and we are back on the J&J Wrestling Podcast right here on MixLR.com. Hopefully you enjoyed the PWE commercial as I'm coughing my lungs away.
Let's make it very clear. The main event is Lou Cypher, the monster of the Army of Darkness, along with Abudadine and Ferrari, will be taking on the Monster Abyss Impact Hall of Famer, along with Father James Mitchell, and it will be contested as a Monsters Ball match. No disqualifications, no countouts, weapons encouraged.
Absolutely.
It will be a bloodbath, and you can see it live. Tomorrow night, bell time 7 o'clock at Los Dos Plebes.
That's right. And thank you for doing the commercial again. So now we got to hear another PWE commercial, which is great. You can never get enough of it. But we're going to jump ship here for the rest of the show, and we're going to talk about the Royal Rumble. Now, I want to make something perfectly clear when we talk about this. The Royal Rumble is not only my favorite, probably outside of WrestleMania or Wrestle Kingdom or anything like that, it is my favorite pay-per-view of the year because there is so much unpredictability. You can predict who you think is going to win, and most of the time, WWE will do one of two things. They will either make it better than what you thought or ruin it for you. There have been some Royal Rumbles that I wish we could delete off the WWE network.
Batista winning the second.
Alberto Del Rio. Period. Enough said. But there have been some great Royal Rumbles.
I actually enjoyed Alberto Del Rio.
No,
that's personal preference.
He's a scumbag. Anyway, so
for what he did in the future does not transcribe what he has done for wrestling.
Whatever, scumbag. Anyway, so I say all that to say this. This year's Royal Rumble, and James, I think you may agree with this. I'm not sure. This year's Royal Rumble is the most important Royal Rumble in the company's history. And I say that because of what we have talked about. AEW, their potential TV deal, and not only that, but New Japan Pro Wrestling just had Wrestle Kingdom a couple weeks ago, and it was amazing. And I think even though WWE will not come out and say it, they watch every product that they can. They're not only watching products for superstars because they've brought, you know that they've watched TNA to find AJ Styles. You know that they watched, they had to watch Ring of Honor for Adam Cole. You know, like they've had to have seen these other promotions and said, okay, we're watching. And Triple H even made mention of this, that we're watching. And so AEW, while it will not be in direct competition with Raw, because it won't, or with WWE in general, they're going to be an alternative. And they know that the fans will go watch something else if the product is not up to snuff. And I think that that's where you got the shakeup that came right around Christmas with the McMahons and Triple H being on programming now. It isn't to set up a WrestleMania match. It's because they understand now that all of the pay-per-views going forward in this year are going to be crucial to the company's success moving forward. And I think you start with the Royal Rumble. That is the best way to do it.
It doesn't just start with the Royal Rumble, though. And we didn't get a chance to talk about this because I know we have our head in clouds. We're talking about PWE.
Right.
Not even 24 hours from now.
That's true.
But also, that's going to be happening not even 24 hours from now, is NXT TakeOver in Phoenix. And that's going to start the whole entire thing, okay? Because you have 5 great matches and potential show stealers coming up tomorrow night on the NXT, on the WWE Network.
Yeah, first, obviously you have, we'll just start at the bottom here quickly. We'll go through the card. Matt Riddle versus Cassius Ohno again. I think it's going to be an interesting match. It's interesting how Riddle has already beaten Ohno twice, but they're fighting again. So, why?
Cheap shots. Because every opportunity right now that Cassius Ohno has had to get his hands on Riddle has been a cheap shot. So this is one last time to prove that it was not a fluke. The 6-second match was not a fluke. Their second battle was not a fluke. This is going to finalize where Matt Riddle stands in the NXT.
And what I think, to be quite honest with you, and my only disappointment with this card I'll talk about later, but I think this could be the match of the year. Ricochet, Johnny Gargano, NXT North American Championship. You want to talk about two guys who could literally carry this card on their back, it'd be them.
Johnny Gargano delivered every single takeover last
Johnny
year.
Johnny
Takeover. Absolutely. And not only Johnny Gargano, but Tommaso Ciampa. And that's only half of that is because they both competed against each other. But nevertheless, Those two have taken NXT to the next level of must-see, and we'll add on Aleister Black to that list. We'll add on the Velveteen Dream to that list. The Velveteen Dream delivered all year long.
Who, by the way, is another reason that I'm disappointed with this card. Because he's not on it. And Adam Cole is also not on it. Now, Undisputed Era is on it. Because they're facing the War Raiders for the tag titles.
Yes.
Which you have said you believe War Raiders will take the gold.
I believe they will.
I disagree. However, I think that Adam Cole not being on this card is tough. And I think Velveteen Dream not being on this card is tough.
They may have other plans for them.
I hope so, because
not all 30 spots have been announced for the Royal Rumble yet, my friend.
Well,
with that said,
anyway, the only other match, the two other matches we're talking about, Shayna Baszler versus Bianca Belair.
Bianca Belair needs to show up on this card.
I disagree. Shayna Baszler needs to show up on this card without Jessamyn Duke and Marina Shafir.
They both need to show up.
No, I think she needs to show up without shenanigans in order for her title reign to be legit.
There we go with that word.
I'm just saying. Look, I'm saying it. Look, Jessamyn Duke and Marina Shafir have no business being in this match. None.
They do not have any business interfering in this match.
So they don't need to. So, look, I think Shayna Baszler needs, if she's going to win this match, fine. But she needs to do it defeating Bianca Belair, who, by the way, is undefeated right now.
Until Saturday.
I would almost agree with you. But I think she needs to do it without Duke and Shafir being a part of it. To protect the legitimacy.
You can say that, but I want to remind you of something, okay? Since they do call themselves the Horsewomen of MMA.
Whatever.
Ric Flair won a couple of his titles through shenanigans.
I understand. Okay, whatever.
So we agree on that one.
Anyway, and then
the NXT Championship will also be on the line, as it will be the reigning defending champion Tommaso Ciampa, who has defended that title more times than Brock Lesnar has in the last 2 years, as he will be facing Aleister Black.
Tommaso Ciampa wins because of Johnny Gargano. I think Gargano interferes.
I second that one.
I think so.
With a small package.
Sure, get out of here. All right, let's go through just some of the matches real quick. We're not going to pick the winners, but we're just going to go through 30-man over the top Royal Rumble, men's Royal Rumble.
We got names like Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Samoa Joe, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, who made a very decent impression this past Tuesday.
That RKO was epic.
That RKO
that was one I did
literally out of nowhere.
There are some times where the wrestlers do a poor job of letting people know that Orton's about to do it. Brock Lesnar was one of those. But Samoa Joe did such a great job of selling that RKO, and Randy did a great job of executing it.
Yes.
So I was very happy about that.
Speaking of executing, and these two men are also in the Royal Rumble. That would be Rey Mysterio and Andrade.
Well done. Well done.
That was a match. Only thing I'm disappointing about was there was no finish.
There hasn't been, though. It's been like that the whole time that they've been fighting now.
But I want to point out two moves that happened in that match. Both of them were the pinfalls of their respective falls that they did win. And one was what some people called the super bomb. I have called, and you just said awesome. That is a move that was made famous by one man named Mike Awesome, and that was seriously an awesome bomb.
That was incredible.
From the top rope. And that gained the fall for Andrade. And just a few mere minutes later, Rey Mysterio pulled out something out of Petey Williams' book and delivered a...
Can you even say it?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say it.
The Canadian Destroyer.
The Canadian Destroyer. Yes, it was more like the Mexican Destroyer in this case. That's right. But nevertheless, the flip-over pile driver... First of all, there's a big deal about pile drivers in WWE.
Yeah, there is.
But that was delivered with excellence.
It was incredible. I mean, and look, those two guys have had just these crazy good matches the last several weeks. It's been awesome.
I know. And I'm going to tell you right now that Andrade's stock has completely rose.
Oh, yeah. But it's been good.
Yes.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, if they would just give him a push, in my opinion, he would do really well.
Yeah.
I mean, they pushed him against AJ. They pushed him against Daniel. I mean, he could really – I think he's one of those guys that could be WWE champion. He was NXT champion. He could do it here, too.
With that said, let's go on to a match that's going to happen at Royal Rumble that I have felt has been a letdown. And that is the United States Championship match.
Which, by the way, is on the kickoff.
And rightfully,
Stupid.
no,
stupid.
no, rightfully so that it's on the
No.
kickoff. Let me
No
tell you
way.
why. Let me tell you why rightfully so that's on the kickoff. Because for the last 2 weeks, where has Rusev been? Where has Shinsuke Nakamura been?
Off
that
TV.
match has not been built, has not been promoted, and therefore it does not deserve to be on the main card. Personally, I don't even think it belongs to the kickoff show.
Okay, no. You're wrong. You know why you're wrong? Because those two guys put on a show during that United States Championship match. It was by far both of their best matches. In their careers, I would go as far as to say in the WWE, it was both of their best matches. But it is not their fault that they're not getting put on TV. It's not. WWE has dropped the ball with Shinsuke Nakamura. Agree?
Agree.
WWE has dropped the ball with Rusev.
Not so much. Yes.
No. Breaking up Rusev Day, which, by the way, Aiden English is commentating now on 205 Live, which is fine. It's cool. But I thought breaking up Rusev Day was the dumbest thing they've done. Because that thing, he could have won the WWE title this year, but instead he got pushed out, and it caused Rusev Day to break up, and now they're not together anymore. Now you're seeing Shinsuke Nakamura, who was your Royal Rumble winner 1 year ago, on the kickoff show. He couldn't even get one WWE Championship reign out of AJ Styles, who I get. AJ is in a different league, okay? But these two guys put on a clinic at Wrestle Kingdom not even 5 years ago. And I'm going to tell you this right now. WWE has not only dropped the ball on Shinsuke, but they have dropped the ball on Rusev, and putting them on the kickoff show is not their fault that they haven't been built up, but it is WWE's lack of caring for the United States title. That's the problem. That's where I stand on it. Yeah, I think you're way off on that.
Well, here's my answer to that. Is the next United States champion will very well be Andrade.
And I hope you're right.
And
look, I hope you're right. I would agree with that. But I'm very upset that this match is on the kickoff. But I understand where you're coming from too, where there has been no build. You're right. There's been none. And that is the fault of WWE. And that is just awful, in my opinion.
The SmackDown Tag Team titles are on the line as Shane McMahon and The Miz will be taking on the reigning champions, Sheamus and Cesaro. I would love to call them the Bar, but quite honestly, I don't think they've been set.
We are the Bar. We're back to this joke.
Yeah, I know. Here we go again.
I think Shane McMahon and The Miz are getting ready to win those titles.
I don't think they're going to win.
I do. I think that they got their butts handed to them on SmackDown, which if we know anything about, go home shows, usually the team that gets their butt whooped beforehand is usually the ones that win it. However, I think for some reason, I think that Shane and The Miz work. Don't ask me why, because I couldn't tell you, but I think it's good.
I think that Shane and The Miz will end up in the match.
They will, and I think you do that by putting the titles on.
Maybe.
That's where I'm at. I'm going to skip the women's matches for a minute just because we're going to finish the show with them.
And SmackDown, final SmackDown match is going to be the WWE Championship, which is the reigning champion, the new Daniel Bryan, taking on the very real AJ Styles.
That's right. And I think that AJ is not going to win. I think Daniel.
We are making predictions, by the way.
We are sort of in a way, but we're going to go back to this again.
I think it's going to be a technical contest between the two, and then finally it's going to get into shenanigans. It's going to get into a fight.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to not end with a small package like the like some of the previous encounters did.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to end through nefarious means.
Yeah, and I think Daniel Bryan's going to probably walk out as champion. And it's, I don't know if they're setting him up for something big at WrestleMania. Because you would think if Daniel Bryan wins the WWE title, then it would be somebody from Raw that would win the Royal Rumble, because they're not going to put two heels against each other. Because I think Samoa Joe could be kind of the dark horse to win the Royal Rumble, but it wouldn't make sense to put Joe and Daniel in the ring unless you're going to do a turn on Daniel.
No, you have to remember something here, okay? This year is very blunt, and actually last year there was one of the Royal Rumble winners took that option. You can face any champion.
I'm not saying it like that, but what I'm saying is we've seen Brock and Joe. We haven't seen Balor and Joe, which I think could be the other thing you could do, but we also haven't seen Joe and Daniel. And there was a little bit of issue there in the beginning when Daniel came back, but it really didn't amount to much because Joe got injured. And so, anyway, interesting to see where they go with that.
That would actually be a decent match.
I think it would be good. I think it would be good. I just don't know how you would turn, or who you would turn. I don't know if you would turn Daniel or if you would turn Joe. I think Joe would be a good face, but I don't know. I think Daniel's a better heel than he is a face right now. But anyway, all right. So let's move on. Universal title, obviously, a lot of interesting things in this. Brock Lesnar versus Finn Balor. Obviously, Braun Strowman was removed. And so I'm not sure if this was injury or if this is a planned storyline. But Balor being put in this spot is a little bit interesting.
I'm going to go storyline because just this past week, Braun Strowman was in the ring.
Yeah, and he was wrestling. Yeah.
And I want to make a note that Finn Balor held his own, even knocking over the monster among men quite a few times in that match. Finn Balor is going to be a tough challenger to the reigning, not defending Universal Champion. And I also do believe, since we're picking, I'm picking Finn Balor to win.
Interesting note here. Last year at the Royal Rumble, for the Universal title, it was Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman versus Kane. Balor was taken out of that matchup because it was a number one contenders match between him and Kane. Kane ended up winning. So I think it's very interesting that Balor's being put back in that spot. And I think it's because that WWE wants to see if Balor can be the face of the company. So I think he can be.
And I want to make note that this was a request of Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar wants to face Finn Balor. Brock Lesnar likes facing the smaller guys in the ring because they go longer, they bump well for him, and he does not mind giving him an opportunity to, take some hits. And he sells for them too. I think he sold more for AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan than he did for Braun Strowman.
And here's the thing about Braun and Brock, to me, it's played out. I mean, it's played out. And look, you can say that that's not the case, but to me it is.
No, I agree.
They've had decent matches. Braun has faced Brock Lesnar, 4 times in the last year, maybe?
Between one-on-one and triple
yeah,
threats.
right. So if you're looking at that technically.
There's the same thing with that with Brock and Roman Reigns.
Right, correct. But we all knew what the payoff was with Roman. We don't know what the payoff is with Braun because every time Braun gets a match, something happens.
The payoff should have been at WrestleMania for Roman Reigns. It did not happen at WrestleMania. They waited until SummerSlam, and then unfortunately, what happened with Roman with his illness.
Yeah,
that was not in the cards, and we all know that.
Right. Okay. So let's jump to these women's matches real quick. We're about to end the show here in just a little bit.
There's three.
There's 3, that's right. So let's talk about the Raw women's title first. The champion, of course, is Ronda Rousey, undefeated still. Been in the company now for 1 year.
in one-on-one matches, she's been undefeated. Technically, her first loss was this past Monday night, even though she did not take the fall. Natalya and Ronda Rousey lost to Bayley and Sasha Banks.
Yeah, okay. So in singles competition, she has not been defeated as of yet. However, she will be facing a very capable Sasha Banks. I don't know. I think this is probably the biggest match of Sasha's career, I would say, to this point.
There are a lot of stories that lead up to what the outcome of these matches were, because we have talked about so many different outcomes that could happen going into the Rumble, and that started back before TLC. Okay, this actually went back to Survivor Series. Okay, at Survivor Series, the whole entire thing with Becky Lynch getting her face broken at the hands of Nia Jax, which led to Charlotte versus Rousey.
Ronda, yeah.
That set the tone to announce what we believe would be the main event, which would be Becky versus Ronda at WrestleMania. Okay?
Correct.
And so we figured that Asuka or Charlotte would win the title, and Becky would go on to the Royal Rumble, and Asuka did win the title.
Yeah.
But then they announced that Becky was getting the title shot after she won a triple threat match.
Right, against Charlotte and Carmella.
And that kind of threw a lot of our predictions into...
Yeah, I think... And look, Asuka and Becky Lynch are going to fight for the SmackDown title, as you mentioned.
Right.
There are so many things that you could do here.
And now we have the big story that Ronda Rousey may be taking time off.
Well, TMZ is saying that that's not true, but we'll see. I think we're both in agreement that Ronda loses at WrestleMania.
Ronda has already said that she would like to start a family sooner than later.
Right.
That has been said, and that has been added into her contract that she could take time off if she wanted to go ahead and get that done. But her contract, with all due respect, is still another 2 years left.
Right, correct.
Okay, that 2 years can come at any time.
So let me ask you this. What is the better storyline here out of these two? I'll give you two scenarios, okay? And listen, there's probably like 10 scenarios that you could go into this with, but these are the two that I think we've come up with, okay? Ronda loses to Sasha via shenanigans, which we know Becky will be involved with somehow, or even Charlotte, for that matter, could be involved in somehow. Ronda loses, wins the Rumble, challenges for the SmackDown Women's Championship against Becky Lynch. Mm-hmm. Somehow Charlotte is added into that, and then you have a triple threat, which I think you could technically add Charlotte in the Elimination Chamber if you wanted to do it that way. So you have a triple threat. Or you can have Ronda interfere in the match with Becky, have Becky win the Rumble, have Ronda win the title, and just have Ronda and Becky at WrestleMania like we originally thought. I know that I've said that Ronda moving to SmackDown would be a good thing for SmackDown because they're moving to Fox later on this year. But I think that in the presence of both titles, the Raw Women's Championship probably has a little more prestige right now than the SmackDown Live title.
And I'm not discounting the fact that that match for the Raw Women's title could still very well be a triple threat match.
It could.
I'm leaning more towards the triple threat match. I'm going to give the main event spot to the women, no matter what happens.
Correct. Okay? I agree.
It's going to be Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch, Question versus Charlotte Flair, and that will be the main event of WrestleMania. It's a matter of what title they're going to be.
I don't know if I want it to be a triple threat, though.
I don't think we have much of a choice.
No, we don't. But I'm just saying, I think you could do a lot with a triple threat.
The triple threat decision is going to be the one that keeps Ronda
protected,
being unpinned.
Yeah, well, I think Ronda has to be pinned at WrestleMania for it to be legit.
For it to be legit, but that's not what's going to happen.
Well, I disagree.
I'm going with the Raw Women's title being successfully retained. I'm going with the SmackDown Women's title to also be successfully retained. So no title changes.
None.
Okay. And I'm going to go with a shenanigan finish in the Royal Rumble.
That would be interesting. Definitely, that would be something different.
Only 2 times in Royal Rumble history has the final 2 participants gone over the top rope and both feet touched the floor at the same time. History. What years were those?
2005, because that was John Cena and Batista.
Mm-hmm.
And the same time.
The other one was 1994.
Oh, see, I went
when Bret Hart and Lex Luger both went over the top rope. And here's where I'm glad that you brought up. On the one in 2005, the match, those 2 were restarted, and at that point in the match, and they had a definitive winner.
Correct.
Okay? In 1994, going into WrestleMania 10, Bret Hart and Lex Luger went over the top rope at the same time. They did not restart the match. They named them co-winners of the Royal Rumble, and both men got a shot at the WWF Championship.
So you think they could do that with Charlotte and Becky?
That
would make sense.
Instead of doing 2 matches,
yeah,
we'll make it a triple threat match, because back then triple threat matches didn't exist.
See, that's a scenario that I could get behind. That is a scenario that I would say, yes, let's do it. It sounds like it would be a long shot, but then again, it may not be. It might be the safest way to do it, so that way you're not ruining Charlotte or Becky for that matter.
And just for your history folks out there, the first man to get a shot at the title in that one was Lex Luger. He did not defeat Yokozuna. Actually, Yokozuna won by disqualification due to Lex Luger putting his hands on guest referee Mr. Perfect. And later on that night, after Bret Hart lost in the opening match at WrestleMania, by the way, the best opening match of WrestleMania history.
Is it him and Owen?
Him and Owen.
Yeah, that was great.
Went on to defeat Yokozuna to become the 2-time World Wrestling Federation champion, and also became the first man to win the triple-double at that time.
Okay. All right. Well, we're getting ready for tomorrow night. PWE. It's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Butch Long's going to be there. He's looking for a match. He's also looking to protect the Army of Darkness, specifically the PWE champion Mark Mandrick, who will also be making an appearance. Ferrari and Abudadeen will be leading the Monster Lou Cypher to the ring as they face Father James Mitchell's Monster Abyss. You have ERA, Ernest R. Alexander III, will be taking on the return to Largo the first time in 5 years, the 8th Deadly Sin sideshow. You have the Brooklyn Juggernaut, Romeo, who has been fed to Justin Michaels, sadistic Samoan, Ati. And
what if you're doing that on purpose?
Most importantly, we talked about what we believe is going to be our match of the night.
That's right.
It is going to be, as James put in, the great taking on the fastest man in wrestling. No, that is not a gimmick.
It is true.
Very true. That would be Samuel C. That is happening in less than 24 hours in Largo, Florida, on 66th Street at the former Gasoline Alley. It's Los Dos Please. Bell time 7 o'clock. We're starting our pre-show starting at 6. We're having a post-show immediately after the show. Folks, get your tickets still on Eventbrite.com. Make sure you're there. It is a Monsters Ball, Monster Abyss, Monster Lou Cypher at prestigious ball. PWE is invading Largo.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here at the J&J Wrestling Podcast. We want to thank you so much for listening to the show tonight. Remember, you can catch us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, email, YouTube now. This is going to be on YouTube as well. So make sure you guys catch us. Once again, we're really excited to be heading to Largo, as my co-host said, tomorrow night for PWE's A Prestigious Ball. We want to thank you all so much for tuning in right here on MixLR.com.
See you tomorrow night. See you Sunday night. Deuces. Peace.